right, everyone, we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get this webinar started today. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Whitney McDougall. I have probably spoken to several of you, if not all of you, regarding our online LLM and MSL program in environmental law, natural resources, and energy law. Today we have with us Lucy Brem. She is the director of the program, and we also have Lily Forrest. She is currently an online MSL student. Again, I appreciate all of you attending the webinar tonight. Here is all of our contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to call or email me after the webinar. You can also submit your questions via the chat feature, and we will get to those as we can. Just to give you a little overview of the program before I turn it over to Lily and Lucy, this program is 100% online. It is really geared towards working professionals. We know that everyone has a busy life. We make it as feasible as possible for you to obtain this degree while also continuing additional obligations. The program is 26 credits for both the LLM and MSL. However, our international students do have a 28 credit requirement. There are a few required courses in both programs, but one benefit of our program is that you do have the opportunity to take quite a bit of electives that we offer, and we do offer a wide range of electives. They vary every semester with mostly asynchronous courses, and in the summer we do offer synchronous courses. But it's a great opportunity for you to really dive into whatever specific subject matter or area of study that you're interested in. And so that's just a general overview, and I am going to turn it over to Lucy and Lily now to kind of get their perspective, specifically Lily's, of the program and how it's obtainable.
Hey everyone, I'm Lily Forrest. So by day, I'm at ESNH Communications Manager for Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory here in the Bay Area in California. And I'm 100% virtual in the Master of Studies in Environmental, Natural Resources, and Energy Law. In my little quote here, you can see I'm interested in tribal sovereignty, natural resource law. And it's just been a great experience being in this program, but also being able to being in the Bay Area. I'm coming to you live from my office, so I'm on site most of the time at my work, and this has really been a great way for me to keep both parts of my interests alive. And I believe I'm going to hand it over to Lucy.
Great, thank you, Lily. Yeah, just to expound on this a little bit with Lily's experience, as she indicates here, she is 100% online as a student, and she's been able to take advantage of our online courses in a couple different ways. One is most of our courses are completely asynchronous, which we mean by that you don't have to be online at any particular time. All of the materials are in our online platform, and so you can access the professionally recorded and edited lecture videos. You can access all of the discussion questions, and so everything's there, and you can do it on your own time. There are deadlines, so every professor does it a little bit different, but for most classes you'll have one module a week or so, which means that there will be deadlines every week that you need to meet, but you can meet them on your own schedule. So for example, as we mentioned, a lot of our students are working, and people have all different kinds of schedules for work. So you can plan around your day or your week. And if it works for you to do everything 2 or 3 nights a week, that's fine. And so that's one way of accessing the online program. In the summer, as we mentioned, we do also offer some online courses that are synchronous. In other words, you do need to be available at a certain time. These are usually short courses, Like, for example, Lily last summer was able to take a Clean Air Act course that we offered over a 2-week period. It was a 2-credit class. So that's an exception to the general rule, which is that normally you don't have to be online at any particular time. There's a few classes, usually in the summer, that we offer where you would need to be on, online for a couple of hours a day over a 2-week period. But it's meant for people who are working, who have other obligations. It's either lawyers who are coming back to get an advanced degree, the LLM degree, or it's people like Lily who are really interested in environmental law and policy, and it meets their career goals to get a degree, but they don't need a law degree. They don't need a 3-year JD degree, which is the degree that is normally required in order to practice law to be considered a lawyer. The nice thing about it is you get access to all of our wonderful environmental law courses through that program. These are the same courses that the LLM, that the lawyers are in. You're not off in a separate class somewhere just for MSL students. These are classes that either JD or LLM students will also be in. So you are getting the same content, the same experience. You are considered a part of Lewis and Clark Law School as a Master of Studies student. And just in case you're wondering, you are graded differently. It's not fair really for master's students to be in these same classes and be graded the same way as a JD student or a LLM student. So even though it's the same content and you take the same exams and write the same papers, the master's students are graded on a credit or no credit basis. If you do extremely well in a class, you can get honors, but you aren't getting a letter grade. And I just thought it would be helpful to clear that up, because I'm sure if it was me, I would be thinking, wow, how does that part work when it comes to exams? But other than that, everything else is the same. And it's been really fun for me to see the interaction between all the students online. If you read the responses, you would see that the master students are right in there in the discussions and, having contributing a lot to the discussions. And the LM students, of course, sometimes have a deeper background in some things, and that adds to the flavor of the class as well. But before we go on, we thought it would be great to maybe right here open it up to any questions you might have of Lily about her experience. Do you have any questions yet, Whitney?
I actually, because I started sharing my screen, sorry, I can't see any questions that are coming in, but I didn't see any pop up before. So
okay, we'll just continue then.
Okay.
You can ask. Well, we'll save time at the end for questions as well.
That works. I did see 2 people raise their hand, so feel free to send a message in the chat if there's anything specific that you would like to ask Lily or any of us. But we do have some general questions that we get from some people that are interested in the program. If you could, just tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the way that law school classes are structured.
Sure. I did take some undergrad law school classes. For background, my undergrad degree is in environmental studies with a minor in law. So I've been interested in environmental policy and have worked in different areas of environmental policy for a while. So I was kind of used to some of that. I think it depends on what classes you're taking. Some of them have the structure, like, especially the synchronous classes have the structure of you may be practicing like you would in a courtroom, or be asked to answer some questions on the spot. But for the asynchronous classes, those are more discussion based. Like Lucy said, you're interacting with your colleagues and you're going through videos, readings, and other content. So it may be a little bit different than your in-person classes, but I don't think I don't think there's like a diminished quality from my perspective. Does that answer your question, Whitney?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I know this is a question that I get a lot, is just balancing schoolwork, work, other obligations, and also going back into school if you had been out for an extended period and getting back into the groove?
Yeah, I've been out of school for over 10 years, but right before I started the master's program, I did a certificate program through UC Berkeley just to test out what it would be like. So that was a year program, and it helped me know that I can do this. I also say for me, I'm going really slow, so I take one class at a time. My workload at work is pretty heavy, and I feel like I don't want to get burned out. I've been in the program for about a year and a half, and I think I have a year left. So for me, that's like a great pace. I think other folks are able to take on a little bit more depending on their work schedule or other things going on. Um, and it's kind of depended class to class. Some classes, I spread the work out multiple nights a week and then um, spend a weekend day working on them, on schoolwork. Other times I really focus my kind of entire weekend is school and fun, but then the evenings for the rest of the week are available. So it's kind of dependent on what's going on with work and having a little bit of flexibility and not forcing yourself to always stick to the same schedule every semester has been really helpful for me.
And I think that that's a good point to make just to anyone who's interested in applying to the program. Um, you're not required to take 3 to 4 classes a semester. You can take one. Again, it's geared towards working professionals. We understand that you have other obligations. So if you need to take one class, not a problem at all. We can work with you on making sure that you're just taking the right amount of classes in order to graduate.
I'll just jump in here real quick because there was a question in the Q&A that I can answer quickly just to clarify. The person asked whether this was a degree program or a certificate program. That's a really good question. Thank you for bringing that up so I can clarify. This is a degree program. You will be getting a Master of Studies in Environmental Law from Lewis and Clark Law School. It is a degree. It's not a certificate. And so I hope that answers your question.
And Lily, I know that you've mentioned the synchronous versus asynchronous. If you could just maybe expand on what those two different modes were like and your thoughts or feedback on how the classes were.
Yeah, so the one synchronous class I took, Lucy talked about, it was 2 weeks and it was mornings, I think from 9 to 12. And then once we finished up that part of the program, we had a couple of weeks to get together a presentation that we gave to the class. And I think there were two-hour sessions at the end of that month. I really enjoyed it. It was really immersive. Like I got to meet lots of lawyers and LLM students who already knew the talk, and I was learning not only from the professor but those students as well. And I really enjoyed it, but I feel like it's more something I can do like once a year because you do have to compensate that with if you're working full time, figuring out how that works for your schedule. So I would go to school from 9 to noon, and then I'd have a lunch break, and then I'd go work in the afternoon. And then the asynchronous classes, like Lucy said, they're all run a little bit differently, but you throughout the week get your reading and lectures done. And usually stuff is due Fridays or Sundays, depending on the professor. And that feels a little less stressful, but not as immersive. So that's kind of the trade-off there. And I did want to say to Lucy's point about the pass-fail honors system. For me, feels really nice. I remember being an undergrad and feeling really stressed about getting the grade, and I think having this be a pass-fail is really nice within this program and helps me feel like slightly less stressed. So I think it's a perk.
So outside of the synchronous courses, just thinking about the asynchronous courses, about how many hours per week would you say you spend on schoolwork?
It depends on the class and the amount of reading. I would say minimum, I'd say 10 hours, and sometimes more. And it depends on how fast you read, and if you like to take notes during the lectures, that kind of thing.
And just to clarify, that's for a 3-credit class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if it was a 2-credit, it might be a little less unless you're taking it in a really compressed time period. But the way we sort of gauge that is the same as we do for our JD classes, that you should budget for every credit you're taking. So if you're taking a 3-credit class, that's considered 3 hours or 3 credits per week. You want to spend 2 to 3 hours out of class that week for every credit. So that's about right. It's about 9 hours or so is about right. And it doesn't become easy, but it does. You do start to understand how to study and how to, plan your time as you get more experience with a class as well.
We did have one more question come in. I can now see the chat. How U.S. focus versus international focus is your program? Can you select courses with emphasis on international laws and regulations? If not, are there similar programs in Europe or Canada?
I will answer that one. There is kind of a combination. It's mostly U.S. focused, but some of the, we do offer an international environmental law course, which is very popular. And some of the classes do have some international components like ocean and coastal, et cetera. But this is really focused on U.S. law. I mean, I think you should consider it that. It's not an international law program. I don't have one I could recommend, an online one right off the top of my head that's from Canada or elsewhere. But I would assume that probably if you did, did some Googling or things like that, you might find something that meets those needs.
I'm not seeing any other questions right now, but just Lily, if you wouldn't mind sharing one other quick snippet about you and just what you plan to do with the degree, or if you are going to stay at your current position, or what the plan is.
Sure. Right now, this degree is really helpful in my day-to-day. I work with wildlife biologists. I work in, being an ESNH, I work with all kinds of folks who are focused on policy and environmental regulation, making sure, we're keeping up and going above and beyond. So it makes me ask better questions of the scientists that I work with and have a better understanding of where they're coming from as far as meeting our goals. Moving forward, with my interest in tribal sovereignty combined with natural resource law, I'd love to work on something like that, with a tribe or between tribe and federal government. So that's kind of to be determined. And that's something I really like about the program is it's helping me now, and it's helping me if I want to pivot and do something else in the future.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Lucy, we had a few more questions. This one I'm going to throw your way in terms of tuition reimbursement from an employer, and they require a B+ average. Can they receive grades other than pass-fail if needed for that tuition reimbursement?
We haven't had anyone do that really formally yet. We have had a student who is in a similar situation, and we were able to find out from the professor that the grade would have met whatever the designated grade was. If you need a B+ or above, you will know, because that meets the honors requirements. That's our cutoff for honors. So you would automatically know that, because if you got to honors, you knew that is the definition. You would have gotten a B+ or above if you were getting a grade.
And then a question from Christopher regarding the brownfield redevelopment. He's interested in those types of classes and wants to know the opportunities that this program offers in that area.
We don't have a class focused on brownfield redevelopment online. There may be more opportunity if you came to our on-campus program, but it isn't a big focus of any of the courses that we're offering online right now. We do offer an opportunity to do individual research, and that's been a really great opportunity for students who, you know, they're online, they have to be online because of their work or family or other responsibilities. But there's an area of law that they really want to delve into, and we've been able to offer credit for papers or things that, you know, really focus on that topic. So that's an opportunity to explore other issues that aren't specifically addressed in the classes.
And one other question regarding climate change and any lectures or classes on that subject.
Yes, there are lectures on climate change. And in fact, almost all of the classes now touch on it in some way.
Thank you, Lucy. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide that just talks a little bit more about the program. Lily, again, thank you for that. If anyone has questions, please don't hesitate to drop in the chat. We will get to them. Oh, here we go. One more before I move on. Honors and final grades. Is there a final exam or is it just earned credits?
Yes, there will be an assessment in that the professor will let you know what that is in the syllabus or in communication. And it is not just earned credit. You have to pass the class in order to get credit. And so, for example, some of the courses are papers, or there may be some writing projects. Some of the courses have final exams, but almost all the online courses, you're graded on a couple of things. One, your discussion responses. And the discussions are very in-depth and very substantive. So there will be some prompts, you know, the answer, usually it's one, might be two. And what we are seeing, and it's really wonderful to see, is the students take it very seriously. They give very well thought out, well written responses, usually, you know, more than, you know, it could be, you know, several paragraphs or more. And then they respond to each other. And then the professor will also then respond, usually generally to the whole class, the things that they're seeing, picking things out of the discussion and answering or expounding on, or, you know, weaving it all together. So you get graded on the discussions. There may be quizzes. Some of the professors set up their courses to have a quiz every week. Others don't use that. And some of the professors have papers, and some of the professors have final exams. So it's a wide variety. And in order to get credit for the class, you know, each professor grades those, gives points a little bit differently along the with those different methods, but you have to pass the class to get credit.
And this wasn't in the chat, but Lily, I've heard from other students, just in passing, that the discussion boards can be lively, or like that they can take away a lot of information from those discussion boards. Did you have anything to add to that or thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are people all over the United States and sometimes internationally contributing to this. So we get viewpoints. You know, for example, right now I'm in a hazardous waste class, and I have I work at a Superfund site and have like a background in some hazardous waste. And so I think I'm able to offer a really unique perspective in that class. We've had other people that are, you know, regulators or work, you know, within a field that we're studying and get really passionate and are able to share not only some anecdotes, maybe some links, and then also, you know, look at the policy side. So yeah, there are sometimes it gets pretty lively and pretty passionate.
Awesome.
I always enjoy going into the various classes and just sort of sampling, seeing what's going on in the discussions. And I'm always so impressed. It's really fun. And it's actually really rewarding to see it, because I think, one of the knocks about online programs, not so much now, but when they first started getting going, was maybe some people thought they were lightweight, or you just could phone it in. This is not like that. This is a very substantive program, and the courses are very content heavy, and the students participate in the discussions at a really high level, and it's very fun. I mean, if you're interested in the material, it's really interesting to see all of that back and forth. I see one more question that I can answer. The person said that they want to focus on water law and/or ocean and coastal law, and they asked about opportunities or offerings in those areas. We do have courses specifically on each of those subjects. We offer water law and we offer ocean and coastal. So you would be able to take both of those. I would say that with the online program, we have a wide variety of subjects. We don't cover everything, but we have a wide variety. But if you only wanted to take water law and, things related specifically to water law, that might not meet your needs. This is a program that offers, a wide range of courses, everything from administrative law, environmental justice, water law, ocean and coastal, hazardous waste. We have emerging topics, which is a required course for our LLM students, which is sort of a hot topics class. So that's a way to bring in some other subjects, focuses on things, going on in the world right now. You write a blog for it, which we publish. And then there are, I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of other classes, but that gives you an idea of kind of the breadth of the program. And so it's not an LLM that's, there may be LLMs that are right now at different all over the country. There's all kinds of LLM programs that may focus on a really narrow subject and just address that. This is a comprehensive program where you'll be exposed to a lot of different subject areas. So I can talk about next steps, but of course, if anybody has any other questions, please put them in the chat and we will address them. We are now accepting applications for fall. We have a priority application deadline of July 15th. The classes start right at the end of August. If you are a Master of Studies applicant, there is an introductory course that's required, or an international LLM course. I teach the Introduction to U.S. Environmental Law and Legal Studies that master's students and international LLM students are required to take. That class will start a little bit earlier than that August 28th, but those are the general deadlines. We do recommend that if you have any thought that you might apply, go ahead and submit your FAFSA, because it does take time to work through the system, and there's no obligation. If you decide not to do it, you decide not even to apply, it doesn't matter. Just don't wait to do that step if you think you're at all interested. In terms of what's required for the application, we do have online application forms available on our webpage, and I'm sure Whitney will make sure you have those. We ask for a statement of interest to tell us why you're interested in the program and how you think it might help your LLM, how the LLM or MSL might help you. This allows us to see, we're looking for people who are sincerely interested. You don't have to have a lot of experience. That's a common misperception. People feel like, oh, I have to know exactly what I'm going to do, or I have to have already taken a lot of classes. You do not have to have taken any environmental law courses at all. And you don't have to know exactly what you're going to do. We're hoping this program will help you figure that out. But just to clarify that, your resume is really helpful for us. It gives us a place to look to see, things all in linear order, super helpful for those of us who are reading applications. We will need your transcripts, whether they're from your JD or from your college. It's okay. You can send us a copy. If you have a copy at home, that's fine. Before you start the program, we have to get the official ones from your registrar's office, but for the application process, it's fine to just give us an unofficial copy. And then some letters of recommendations from professors or people or work, people you've worked with that can really tell us about your interest level and your capacity to be successful in a graduate program. It might be somebody, it might be a professor you had who said they were a great writer, they're a good student, or it might be, someone you've worked with that can tell us about your skill levels, et cetera. We do ask that the Master of Studies students submit a writing sample. It doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be focused on environmental law. It can be something you did in college or something else more recent, whatever works for you. We just want to see if you have, basic writing skills, because there is a lot of writing in law school courses, whether you're a master's student or an LLM student. For our international applicants, we would like to see the TOEFL score. If you went to school, if your education was in English, feel free to contact me directly and we can set up a time to talk, and sometimes that can substitute for it. So that's another method of showing your English fluency. And just once again, just to cover the basics of what we're looking for, be a graduate of an accredited US or international law school or MSL, college or university. In other words, a bachelor's degree. Demonstrate an excellent academic record. We're looking for good writing skills, and have a genuine interest in environmental, natural resources or energy law. We just want to make sure if you come and you start the program, you aren't surprised that all the courses are environmental. And because sometimes people, they think, oh, well, that sounds great, but they haven't really focused on the fact that that's what you're going to be taking. You're not going to be taking business law. You can, there's some classes you can add in. And sometimes that works, but in the online setting, that is going to be difficult to do. For the LLMs, you do not have to be a member of a bar. You do have to have the JD degree, though. Thank you for joining us today. If there aren't any other questions, we would just encourage you to reach out if you think of anything later, something occurs to you or something you didn't want to put out in the chat. The email addresses are here, and we'd be happy to set up times to talk to you individually as well.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Lily, again, for joining us tonight and sharing your experience. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you. And don't forget that July 15th deadline. Bye, everyone.